Hey guys, today I'm filming a chit chat get ready with me using all the products in my current Project 10 pan, which is a viewer's choice roulette using all high-end products. If you guys have not seen my intro or my first update, I will have my playlist linked up here. And I really wanted to do this video showing you how I use all these products, and I wanted to do it now before I start actually using these things up. And then of course I do have to add in a couple other products to get my full face of makeup. And this is going to be more of a chit chat get ready with me than a tutorial, but it might be a little bit long, so we'll see. So starting out with primer, one of the items in my project is this CoverFx Illuminating Primer, and I am just going to apply this all over my skin. This product isn't bad. It is a glowy primer, but it doesn't have a ton of glow to it. Then going in with my MakeUpForEver Step 1 Smoothing Primer, I'm going to apply this into my large pores. I am almost done with this. I've been working on it for a long time. So just pressing it between my fingers, and I'm going to press it into my skin to fill my pores, and then smoothing over towards the outside of my face, and then putting some on the tip of my nose as well. It's getting really hard to squeeze out, so hopefully within a week or two that should be done. So for foundation, I'm using another item for my project pan. This is the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation in the shade 1W1 Bone. My holy grail foundation, but it is a little bit too dark for me. So I will be mixing in a little bit of this Hard Candy Glamoflague foundation in the shade Porcelain. I usually mix these on my little Cosmo Cube mixing palette, but I forgot to bring it into the room with me, so I'm just gonna have to use the back of my hand. And I'm getting to the point in this foundation where it's really hard to squeeze it out, and I keep this stored on top of my vanity so all the product can settle to the bottom so the pump can actually like pick it up. And I'm just adding a smaller drop of the hard candy because the foundation's only a little bit too dark for me. This is my favorite foundation combo. The Estee Lauder is actually pretty thin consistency, and the hard candy isn't too thick, but when I mix it in, it does thicken it up a little bit, which actually makes it easier for me to apply, but it isn't so thick that I have trouble blending it out with a sponge. So I love the combination. This is what it looks like. It's actually light and very yellow. That's what I love about Bone, is that it is a super yellow foundation. And I am just going to go ahead and dot this all over my face using the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge, which is my all-time favorite sponge. I love the Real Techniques for the flat edge because I think it helps really press the foundation into my skin. And then actually on the other side, I'm just going to pick it up right from my hand with a sponge to press it into my skin. Next, I'm going to use another item for my project pan. This is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Sheer Sun Serum Bronzer. So I am going to just shake this up, and I am going to put a good amount of this on the back of my hand. Looks like that. And then I'm going to take the Pure Cosmetics sponge, the butt end that looks like a typical beauty blender, pick up the product and use it to apply around my face. So just picking it up on the sponge, squeezing my sponge a little bit to get it right into the hollows of my cheek, and just going over to make sure that it blends out nicely, and then going up around my hairline. So here is what it looks like on one side of my face. It's actually really natural. If I wanted it to be more intense, I could layer it up a bit more. I actually love this bronzer. I think it looks awesome, but I do have to apply this before I do any kind of powder, even under eye powder, because it somehow interferes. And that's what my skin looks like with just that product. Moving on to my under eyes, I'm currently using a combination of two products to help correct under my eyes, starting with the Lorac Perfection Concealer in the second shade Light, which is a pretty light yellow shade, but it's still a little bit dark on my skin. So I am going to take this right under my eye, because this is the correcting part, not to highlight, and making sure to get in the inner corner there. And to lighten that up just a little bit, I'm going to take the Kat Von D Lock It Concealer Cream in the shade Whiteout, and I am going to do 3 little dots right underneath. Then I'm going to take this Morphe E8 brush, and I am going to mix this together right under my eye. And this brush works really well to blend it out. I know there's a lot of mixed opinions on Morphe brushes, but the four I have, I really, really love. And then I'm going to apply my under eye concealer and highlighter, and that is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair. Because it puts a lot of product onto the applicator, I'll usually scrape off a little bit inside of the tube, and I'll actually take the back end of it, and I'm gonna do the upside down triangle. But because this is so full coverage, I'm not gonna fill it in because that's just a waste of product and it's gonna look more cakey. But I will take a little bit down the center of my face to help highlight. And I'm gonna blend it out with the Real Techniques Mini Eraser Sponge, which is basically a mini version of the Miracle Complexion Sponge. You could totally use that too, but I have these and I actually really like them. Then going to blend out my under eye concealer. So if you guys have this and you feel like you're running out, make sure you take out the stopper. My friend Jean told me that she took out the stopper and she got about another 5 months worth of product out of there. So definitely make sure you do that. It's an amazing concealer, but it is really, really pricey. So that's definitely what I'm gonna do. So next, to set my under eyes, I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier Loose Translucent Setting Powder. I have this in my project pan as well. This was in a little 100-point perk size, but I put it into this different container so it's easier to work out of. And I'm gonna be taking the pointed side of the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge to pick up some of this product, and then I'm just going to press it into my under eyes. I actually really like this powder, which sucks because I know how expensive it is. And doing the same on the other side. I haven't used any of this to set my entire face. I've just been using it under my eyes. So if I do truly fall in love with it, I know that it will at least last me a while. I'm gonna set my entire face. If I was gonna be out and about doing things, I would probably use my Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Powder because it does keep me more matte. But because I'm not doing much today and I just wanna set my makeup, I'm gonna be using the RCMA No Color Powder, which I have also put in different packaging because that packaging is absolutely terrible. And I'm just going to apply it with a big fluffy brush. My favorite is the Real Techniques powder brush. And I'm actually gonna put this washcloth on me like a bib because this powder is really, really messy and I'm wearing a black dress. Get my little bib on and just pressing the powder into my skin. So now for my bronzer, contour, and blush, I am using some card samples. So for bronzer, I'll be using an item I just added in and I'll be using for the first time right now. This is a sample of the NARS Laguna bronzer, which everybody loves. So even though it is a card sample, I'm really excited to try this out. And I'm gonna apply it with the e.l.f. stippling brush. This is my favorite brush for bronzer. I really recommend using a stippling brush if you have fair skin to apply your bronzer. So just picking up some of that product, going in the hollow of my cheek, up around my hairline. So now to contour, I'm gonna take this little Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer trio. I've already used up the milk chocolate, the regular chocolate, so now I'm gonna be using the dark chocolate, which, yeah, it's gonna be a little dark for me, but I'm gonna use just a tiny bit of this to contour with my Sigma F05 small contour brush. So it smells pretty delicious. Putting this one right in the hollow of my cheek. If I use just a little bit, I think I can get away with this. This one is kind of warm, but I don't mind using a warm product to contour. I think that can actually look really nice, especially in the summertime. Then moving on to the little blush card. This is the Sephora Colorful Blush in the shade number 5, Sweet on You. I love this color so much. I can actually get a lot of use out of these card samples. I've used this one, I want to say, somewhere between 7 and 10 times already, which is impressive, but of course this is a really pigmented shade. And I'm going to apply it with the Sigma F15 Duo Fibre Blush Brush. This is a beautiful pinky coral, which you guys know is my favorite kind of color for the summertime. So for highlight, I'm going to be using this deluxe sample of the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Opal, and I'm going to apply it with the Morphe M510 brush. A couple loose hairs here. I do like this brush for highlight as well. It makes a really, really intense color. So just applying this on the top of my cheekbones. Then I'm going to apply another Project Pan item. This is the Skin to Navy Oil Control Makeup Finishing Spray. I put it in this packaging because the sprayer is a little bit better on the Smashbox Primer Water. So I like to do this before my eye makeup and brows. So shaking it up a little bit and then just spraying a little bit all over my face, fanning this to dry. Now I'm going to zoom you guys in for eyes and brows. Okay, so moving on to brows. I never do my brows on camera, so this is going to be a little bit weird, and it's also a way easier routine than I typically do. So I am going to just start with my Sonia Kashuk spoolie brush, and I am going to just comb through my brows to get the hairs going in the same direction. Then I'm going to start with my NYX Eyebrow Shaper Wax Pencil. You guys know how much I love this. Running over my entire brow. And the reason I use this is because it helps my eyebrow powder actually stick to my hairs as well as my skin. Then I'm taking this little brow comb from Flirt Cosmetics, which was a brand sold at Kohl's. I don't think it's available any longer, but I know that Real Techniques makes a brow comb that's actually metal. But there's a lot of brow combs out there. I just like to use this to make sure that the brow wax is evenly distributed throughout my brows. Normally I would just go in and start with a pencil, but I'm only going to be using a pencil in the very front of my brows when I have to draw onto skin. But for the rest of my brows, I'm going to be using another Project Pan item. This is the Lorac Take a Brow Kit in the shade Blonde. I am going to apply this with my Sigma E75 angled brow brush. I'm going to be taking the lightest shade, which is a really great neutral leaning warm brow powder. So starting at the tail here, just lining the top, lining the bottom of my tail, filling that in. Then I'm going to, picking up a little bit of product at a time, just tracing the top of my brow. Then I'm going to go and underline my brow. Some more product, I'm going to run it through the middle of my brow, which is where I definitely have the most hair, so I don't need a pencil in the middle. So here's just the difference between just powder and no product. All right, so that part is good. Then I'm going to go in with my Benefit Goof Proof Eyebrow Pencil in the shade number 2, which is the thicker angled brow pencil from Benefit, which actually comes with a ton of product and has lasted me an incredibly long time. So this one I think is way more worth the money than their Precisely My Brow Pencil. If you want that one, I recommend getting the NYX Micro Brow instead. But anyway, I'm gonna roll up a little bit of this and create that squared off front that you guys know I love. And just to set that pencil in place, I'm going to take a little bit more of the brow powder and go right over top. Not adding a ton. I'm not really using it for color. I just want it to set the creaminess of the pencil. And I'm going to take my Sonia Kashuk spoolie again and comb through the brows one more time. To set my brows in place, I will be using the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. This is one of the best clear brow gels ever. It totally is like hairspray for the brows. So brows are all done. Moving on to eyes, I'm going to go in with my Jessie's Girl eyeshadow primer. Dot a little of this onto each eye. Recently, I have not been loving this. I don't think that this is made for oily lids, and it isn't that my eyeshadow is creasing, but it's like my shimmer shade on my lid is transferring into my crease. And I do have hooded eyes, but I didn't have that problem before when I was using the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion. So I totally think it's the Jessie's Girl. And because I do still have product left, I'm going to continue using it for a while. I'm actually waiting for Milani to go 40% off at CVS so I can get the Milani shadow primer because that one's my favorite. But If that sale doesn't come up by the end of the summer, I'll definitely just go ahead and buy it anyway. Then to set my eye primer, I use two different shades. For my brow bone, I use a matte white, and I actually use Matte Malloy from the Balm Meet Matte Nude palette, which is a item in my current project pan. And I'm going to apply that with the Wet n Wild large shadow brush, just picking up a little bit of this right on the tip of the brush, and I am going to just set my brow bone. And because I'm so fair, I can get away with using white, but for a lot of skin tones, probably a cream shade would be best for this step. And then to set the primer in my crease, I'll be using Wet n Wild Brûlée, which is a matte cream color, and applying it with the Wet n Wild blending brush, I think it is called. And this shade matches my skin tone perfectly, so any shade that matches your skin tone, or even using your face powder, I think could work nicely. And I do not set my lid because most of the time I go in with a cream base and I don't want to cake it up, but I do like to set my brow bone in my crease to make sure that eyeshadows can blend easier and won't be patchy by sticking right to a non-set primer. So at first I thought that setting your primer was just kind of like a unnecessary step, but then when I started doing it, I realized how much of a difference it actually made. So for eyeshadow, I like to start by applying my transition shade. I'm going to be using Anastasia Birkin, one of my all-time favorite colors, with my Sigma E40 tapered blending brush. Just picking up some of this product, applying it right above my crease lightly as my transition shade. Then I'm going to go in with a cream shadow on the lid. I'm going to apply it with the Mary Kay cream eye color brush, but I do think you could also use the ColourPop eye lid brush. I think that one could pack on cream shadow really nicely as well. And for a cream shadow, I'm actually going to be using a ColourPop cream gel color, which are their gel liners. The metallic shades are a lot thinner of a consistency and easier to work with than the matte shades, so I actually prefer these as a base. And this is in the shade Get Paid, which is a beautiful coppery color. So using that Mary Kay brush, I am just going to pick up some of this product and apply it all over my lid. And it actually applies so smoothly. And then I'll be going in with my Anastasia Tomato palette, which is in my project pan. I'm going to be taking this shade Gilded, applying it on my lid with my MAC 239 flat shader brush. So I've tried a bunch of different bases with this eyeshadow, and I like this one the best. So just picking up Gilded, I'm going to press it on my lid right over top of that base. And Gilded is more of a bronzy color, but by putting it over this coppery base, I love the color that it creates. A little bit bronzy, a little bit coppery, which I think is really pretty. And then I'll be taking the shade Bengal and applying it as my crease color. This is in the Tomato palette, but this is also a individual eyeshadow. This color is absolutely incredible, the perfect orangey tan. And I'm going to apply it with my MAC 286 Duo Fiber Taper Blending Brush. So picking up some of Bengal on that MAC brush, going right into my crease and outer corner, blending back and forth here. And then I'm going to pick up some more of this product, work towards the center of my crease, and then whatever is left blending towards the front. So then I'm just taking this Beauty Junkies Pro Tapered Blending Brush with no product to soften the edges, but I could also take this brush and go back in with Birkin to help soften it as well. So that's it for eyeshadow. To keep it more simple, I like to go with no liner, just mascara. So I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Perversion Mascara and the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. There's the difference that mascara makes. This eye, no mascara. This eye, I did one coat of Urban Decay and one coat of the Too Faced. So good, and especially without wearing eyeliner, it really emphasizes my eyelashes. So these are the eyes all complete. For this project, I do have two lip products, so I thought I would try them both on so you can see how they look. The first one is this Pixie Lip Lift Max Gloss in the shade Sheer Rose. I've taken out the stopper and I have one application left of this, so I thought that I would save it to show you guys how this looks. And this is what one layer of this gloss looks like. It is a sheer gloss, but it would probably be a little bit more pigmented if there was more product in here. I love the formula. It is super duper comfortable. It has a nice minty scent. And they come in a couple different shades, but they're all sheer. But I really love this formula, and sad that it is now used up. But this is what Sheer Rose looks like on my lips. And the other lip product I have in this challenge is a little mini size of the Clinique Pop lipstick in the shade Melon Pop. This is a really pretty color, but sometimes depending on the occasion, my makeup look, it can be a little too bright, but it should work really well with this look. Here's what Melon Pop looks like. It is a cream finish, and I wouldn't say it is sheer, but it isn't overly opaque, so you can layer it up for more intensity, but it is a really comfortable formula. So guys, that is my super duper long chit chat get ready with me using all of my project pan items. I would love to know your thoughts on all of these items, and let me know if you are currently doing a project and what you're working on. I would love to hear about that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.